Hello, everyone. And of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And Ish.
Ish sounds very excited over there, and you already know what you got to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you go ahead and like and share this broadcast, please. If you are again on our Facebook page, please go ahead and like our Facebook page as well. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell for shows like this one in the future.
Ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you are on Twitter, go ahead and check us out on the Twitter on Periscope. If you don't know, then now you know.
No.
Exactly. Thank you for that, Ish, as well. You know why y'all came. Week 13 recap. We are here to, of course, let y'all know what we saw over this weekend. Some good, some bad, and some very, very, very ugly. And let's just be real ish. Let's just start off with what we left off at last night. Patriots versus the Bills. This was ugly to me ish. This was ugly because one of the words that was used yesterday after the game from a reporter for the Buffalo Bills, he asked, "Was this an embarrassment for the Buffalo Bills defense to play the way that they did?" And I don't think that's the right word at all to use because I think that's a low blow of a word to use for what happened, what we saw. I think it's more of, if anything, it's more of a disappointment. I think, if anything, if you're the Buffalo Bills, if you're not just a player, a fan, or just somebody that support the Buffalo Bills, you have to look at this game as very disheartening. You're at home. This is Monday Night Football game. Everybody's watching. You're in first place at the moment before that game started for that division. You assume that ding dong the witch is dead. Tom Brady left the Patriots, and the Patriots are no more what they used to be. And it's the Bills division for the next 10, 15 years, right? That's what everybody all assumed. And coming into this game, the Bills had a great opportunity to show everyone that they are still what a lot of people expect them to be, which is AFC contenders to make it to the Super Bowl. And for them to put out the type of performance they put out, not just on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball as well, because we're not going to let up on the offense at all. But for them to, let's be real ish, as football players, what happened on Monday Night Football was the defense for the Buffalo Bills got, I don't want to say the word, but I'm going to say it. They got punked. I watched the extracurricular activities that was going on with the offensive line from the Patriots, and I saw them getting into the defensive line and also in the linebackers' faces to make sure that they know that they here and they're not going to back down from anybody. And that was something that I was very impressed with, honestly, from the Patriots because I was expecting to see that from the Buffalo Bills. Again, being at home, having all of that momentum on your side, I wanted to see the Buffalo Bills punch the Patriots in the mouth, and yet it was the Patriots that did that with the running game. They threw the ball a total of 3 times in that whole game. And for you to run the ball, and just get gashed after every play, that's why I call it more disheartening than an embarrassment because you know what's coming. You can't stop it. Even though you only gave up 14 points, which in any type of football, any other NFL football game, you're most likely going to win that game, right? But in this type of game, 14 points was enough to win the game for the New England Patriots, and they're going to see the New England Patriots in about 3 more weeks to play them in Foxborough. And right now, the reason why I brought up what I brought up on the promo to say that the Patriots deboed the Buffalo Bills is because they did. They went into Buffalo, they took their chain, and they didn't give a damn that Buffalo got their chain from their grandmama. All they care about is this is our division. This is our division. It has been for 20 years and it's going to stay our division. And right now, it's the Patriots' division to lose at the moment.
Yeah, it's the Patriots division to lose. I picked the Patriots because they've really figured it out. They figured it out They've been playing really well as the Patriots have been playing. I think I expected a little bit more, a little bit better showing from the Buffalo defense. The offense, I don't want to fault them too much. The only thing I'll fault on the offensive side for Buffalo is that run game. That run game has just been abysmal, and really they need to help Josh Allen out. I mean, really, he went 15 for 30 for 145 yards and a touchdown. In that weather conditions, you actually have to look at that and say, man,
That was a
he
decent
did
game.
well.
He did
Yeah,
what
like
he did what he was supposed to do.
he did what he was supposed to do.
Yes.
Now, the fact that they didn't have a run game is what really hurt them because they couldn't run the ball to save their life. I mean, when you got Devin Singletary with 10 rushes for 36 yards, that's a 3.6 yard average. You got Zach Moss with 8 rushes for 21 yards. Like, goodness, I understand that it's not easy to run the ball in the NFL. It's not easy. If it was, then everybody would be out here playing running back. But at the same time, that is terrible. That is terrible. I don't know what Buffalo needs to do to get with that offensive line, figure it out, get with these backs and figure it out. But something needs to be said because, to be honest with you, if I'm looking at this game and I'm any other contender or playoff team, I don't mind playing Buffalo.
I'm licking my chops right now.
Yeah, I don't
Licking my
mind playing
chops.
Buffalo.
Because let's be real, and I'm not trying to cut you off, Ish. At the moment, they have no running game.
None.
And I know you're going to bring this up soon, but next week they play the best run stopping defense in the NFL. They play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if
I was just about to
say, thing, and I know you was going to bring it, but the thing to me is what's baffling to me is that they couldn't take advantage of the weather that should be an advantage to you. But because you played a team where that weather does not affect them because they are used to that type of weather, if it was anybody else, the Buffalo Bills probably would have won that game. But because it's New England Patriots, they stuck to their game plan and they stuck to, why am I going to pass the ball when I'm getting 8 to 10 yards of carry? Because guess what? Whether or not, if the weather is 30 degrees and it's 50-mile-per-hour winds, or if it's 100 degrees and people are falling out, the running game is still going to be the running game because you still getting 8 to 10 yards of carry. So the way I look at that game is, I don't give a damn that game was played in Buffalo, Foxborough, or in Miami, Florida. You got punked. But here's the thing with the Buffalo Bills, you still have time to make up for it because here's their schedule. Even though let's just say you lose to the Buccaneers, right? You play the Panthers, the Patriots, the Falcons, and the Jets. The Panthers game, the Falcons game, the Jets are all at home, which most likely they should be some colder type games to where the Panthers, we'll see what happens how they play in that weather. The Falcons shouldn't play that well in that weather, and the Jets, it's the Jets to finish off the season. So they could still finish the season off 10-7 and still make the playoffs, but you just put yourself in a hole for no reason when you've had this lead throughout the whole season and you just got deboed for your spot, and most likely the Patriots are now going to win the division and you're going to be fighting for a wild card spot.
Yeah, most definitely. It looks like the Patriots, they control their own destiny at this point. They just need to go ahead and finish the job. I'm interested to see the game in Foxborough and how that transpires.
I want to see the first half. I need to see the first half because like I was saying to my wife, I said, look, I need to see in the first half when they're in Foxborough, the line of scrimmage. Just like Fracture Walnut brought up, in this game on Monday Night Football, they got punched in the mouth and lost the game at a line of scrimmage. If they want to win the game in Foxborough, they have to do the exact same thing. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it happens. Because they are not built that way to where I can say I want this linebacker, this defensive end. The only person they have on there, which jokingly I was talking to my dad about this, but it might be right, is Stephon Diggs. Other than that, maybe Ed Oliver, Tremont Edwards, you have some guys on there that I would say, you know what, yeah, I'll take him into battle with me. But other than that, Buffalo don't have guys that scare me.
Well, I mean, with better weather, who knows how Josh Allen plays, and if you
True.
have somewhat of a pass game, it can open up the run, right? Like it can create. Some teams use the run to set up the pass.
Yes,
For
yes.
Buffalo, they have to use the passing
Pass to set up
game
the
to set
run.
up the
You're
run.
correct. You're correct.
And I mean, that's what I'm curious about in this run it back game in Foxborough. If there's better weather and you're able to throw the ball and everything, um, does that help this run game out a little bit? Maybe. I don't really think so. But it's a possibility. But it also goes both ways, right? Because then if Mac Jones is able to throw the ball as well, if you add in play action to the way they were running the ball, I feel like this game looks a lot worse than what it ended up being, because you proved to yourself and everyone else that you can't stop the run. You knew what was coming and you couldn't stop it. So imagine if they can actually throw the ball as well. Like it was a bad. I understood what the reporter was asking when he asked, "Was it embarrassing?"
Yes,
I
yes, yes.
know they took it as like a disrespectful thing, but at the same time, like you have to be honest with yourself at what he was saying. What he was getting at is you knew every single play, pretty much every play, they were going to line up and run the ball straight at you, and you did not stop it. They wanted to say like, oh, they had one big run or whatever. Listen here,
They
okay?
had they had multiple big runs. And again, when you're running the ball at least minimum 8 yards of carry, that's a big run every time you touch the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah. Like, bruh, I'm confused at what they're talking about. Oh, they had the one big run, 46 for 222. Like, yes, there was only one rushing touchdown, but 46 for 222,
That's called getting
46
that's
to
called getting gash. That's called
like
getting gash.
46 run plays to 3 pass plays. You knew they were running the ball, and they still ran for 222 against you.
In
I
your
understand
house
it's an
too.
NFL
They
team.
they they Rick James your shit. They Rick
I
James
mean,
fuck your couch.
it was as disrespectful as it could get in the NFL. And honestly, I know that they feel the type of way about it, and I hope that they respond. But yeah, I got New England winning this division now.
And before I move on, I'll be honest with you, you and everybody that's listening in and tuning in tonight. I've honestly have lost faith in the Bills because this is not their first time getting embarrassed on Monday Night Football just this season. Let's remind everybody they got embarrassed against Tennessee Titans that has a pretty damn good running game at the time with Derrick Henry, and they punched them in the mouth. So when you see, it's not just the Bills, it's the New England. I'm sorry, it's the Indianapolis Colts as well. When it comes to when they don't play teams that punch them in the mouth, they can win games and they can put up 40 points every time. But when they play hard physical teams that match up with them, they struggle with those teams. So we'll see what happens with them. But honestly, I'm off that Bills wagon at the moment. Ish.
That's
All
fair.
right. Let's go ahead and move on to another great game on that Sunday slate. The Chargers and the Bengals. Of course, if you tuned in on Sunday or our pregame show, we talked about how this was going to be a pretty damn good game. It definitely ended up being that way with two top-notch quarterbacks in the league. And the Chargers jumped on the Bengals early in this game, and surprisingly to most, they were able to keep the lead and win the game. Because let's be real, this was the Anthony Lynn's Chargers. They would have found a way to probably lose this game. So, Ish, with this game, does this tell more for the Chargers or the Bengals?
For me, I think that this says a little bit more about the Chargers than it does the Bengals. It felt like the Bengals, they had a bad game. Um, that we've seen that they've been inconsistent. I think we've already knew coming into this game who they were. They're a very inconsistent team. They're still very young. They don't really seem up to par when it comes to these really competitive games. This was a tiebreaker game. You needed this game when you really think about it, because now that both these teams sitting at 7-5, you don't want to be the team that loses
Yep,
like the
yep.
Bengals, because now that is a mark against you come later in the season. It might cost you the playoffs, right? So I think the reason why I think that this was more so about the Chargers is you wanted to see how the Chargers responded. You wanted to see how the Chargers played in a big game that they needed to win, not only for the tiebreaker purposes and the wild card, but also to keep pace with the Chiefs because they are still in striking distance with the Chiefs. Chiefs dropped one game, and you never know what's going to happen in the AFC West. So in order to keep pace and to keep that pressure on the Kansas City Chiefs, Chargers needed this game, and they knew they needed this game, and they only came out and performed really well. On the defensive side, though, that was the big key for me. The turnovers on the defensive side, that was so big in this game, and it made the difference. If this Chargers team can play like this moving forward, especially on the defensive side, we saw earlier in the season when they played Kansas City in Kansas City, how they were able to create turnovers and it carry them to a victory. I think this is the key. Like the key for them is on the defensive side. If they can make those plays on the defensive side, this team is a winning team. If they don't make those plays on the defensive side, this team is a below average team. We've seen it throughout the season. So for me, it just kind of said to me like they're actually ready to compete. Maybe not at an elite level consistently, but when they are on, they are one of the best teams in the AFC.
It's funny that you bring up the Chargers being the team that that caught your eye because I was going to go the opposite. I was going to go with the Bengals because we talked about this in the pre-show on Sunday. Let's remind everybody. I picked the Chargers to win this game. You picked the Bengals, and I stated in the pre-show that for some reason the Chargers do not play well when they are the hunted, but when they are the hunters, they don't have to worry about this pressure. They just go out and ball, and as we saw, they put up a 40-piece against the Bengals. But for the Bengals, it's like we do want them to take that next step, but this is now the second time. The same thing I just talked about with the Bills, where this is the second time this season where you have an opportunity to show everyone that y'all are taking this next step, and you failed. You're at home. This is a game that you should take care of, and I want the Bengals to take that next step. But this is something that you also said as well on Sunday with the connection that he has with T. Higgins. You had 9 catches, 138 yards, and a touchdown. That's great because, again, it allows you to have those multiple weapons on the offensive side of the ball that I know that the Bengals do have. But I can't agree with you, Ish, and say maybe it was an off game. Maybe it was a game where if we run it back, maybe the Chargers only win by 3 points. Maybe the Bengals win by a touchdown because the Bengals were surging at one point in time and trying to get back in that game. And the Chargers said, "Hold up, player. We ain't come all
that fumble cost them.
we ain't come all the way to Cincinnati to lose this game the way you think we're gonna lose this game." So for me, I just feel like the Bengals let a lot of people down because that division is still open. That NFC North division to me is still open, and they didn't take the opportunity to take that step and try to compete with the Ravens, right? And I just feel like they missed their window of opportunity at the moment. Maybe they can still get it back over the next 5 weeks because we still have more football to play. But I think it still is also a good learning experience for these young Bengals to learn from in year 2, year 3 with Joe Burrow, when he can look back and when he's in year 3 and look back and say, "Hey, remember when we were 7-4 and we didn't finish out what we need to finish out? Let's finish that out now so we don't have to play for the wild card spot. We can actually have a home field playoff game that we can play for." So even though I think it's a bad loss for the Bengals, this is something that they can learn from moving forward. Let's get to the comment section right quick from Fractured Walnut. He says, "Facts-ish is right. Rivers era Chargers would have lost that game. The Chargers are turning a new page in their history." Again, let's wait. Let's wait, guys. Let's wait because again, this Chargers history. But even before Phillip Rivers, they weren't getting the job done. So let's not put it all on Phillip Rivers and act like Phillip Rivers is the only one that didn't get the job done in LA or San Diego prior to come to LA. I love me some Justin Herbert, but let's see some more consistency. Sound good? All right. Speaking of consistency, let's go ahead and move on to a guy that's pretty consistent in his whole NFL career, Mr. Thomas Brady. We'll be very short on this one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers took care of the Atlanta Falcons in this game. The biggest caveat I want to talk about with this game, besides the 350 plus yards passing Brady and 4 touchdowns, my thing is, do you think, because we talked about this in previous shows, do you think with AD maybe not being there for the rest of the season, maybe even the playoffs, do you think that hinders them from still making a run? Because it looks like they're getting that offense back. It looks like they're getting things, on all cylinders once again. Do you think without AB ish, they can still make a run for another Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said it in the preview show on Sunday morning when we were talking about this the possibility of AB being cut. I think I already said to me, I don't think it hurts their chances at all. I think that they're still able to do exactly what they need to do. Like, yes, he does add another element to the offense. Yes, he does add another weapon to that offense. But it's not an offense that's wanting for weapons. They have plenty of weapons. They have plenty of players that can make plays on that side. And while having him is a bonus, not having him isn't a detriment to the team. They're still going to keep moving as if he was never there in the first place. And I think this game just kind of proved it, although it's against the Falcons, so I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. I still think that it doesn't matter. They're going to continue to play well, regardless of whether or not AB's there.
No, I definitely agree. And like I said, with their offense getting things back into gear, it's now on the defense. The defense, they're playing well, but they're not playing Super Bowl caliber level that they've been playing at like they were last season. I think when both sides of the ball get back rolling and once again, I could be correct on my Super Bowl pick when it comes to having the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in the Super Bowl. My boy Dominique Powell says, yeah, AB is just the icing on the cake. I can definitely agree with that for all. Yeah, I mean, it makes it that much sweeter to have him on the team, but he's definitely not somebody that at this moment, especially in this part of his career, that you need to have moving forward. All right, let's go ahead and move forward with, I think, a game that we all knew was going to be very good, but we wasn't expecting for it to be as good / sloppy / a Ravens Steelers game that we kind of expected it to be. Ravens Steelers played a very highly contested game that ended up being 19-20. The final score, the Baltimore Ravens went for two after they scored the game, or they scored the game tying touchdown. And if they went for a field goal to tie the game, they would have went into overtime. They decided to go for two, did not get it. Ish, I throw it to you right quick. Do you feel like, besides the play, do you feel like the Ravens, even if they would have found a way to win that game because of the 2-point conversion, do you feel like their style of play is going to continue to last moving forward in the rest of the season and also in the playoffs?
What do you mean their style of play? You mean offensively? Or?
Well, I'm just talking about, let's be real. It's not just the Steelers game. You can bring up the Lions. You can bring up other games throughout the season that the Ravens have had. They play very, very. They play in their own box, right? They play their run game. But they lead the league in turnovers. They, over the last 4 games, they've only scored 14 points, and they continue to turn the ball over. But when they ran into the Steelers, with all the turnovers that they had, the Steelers didn't let them capitalize. The Steelers capitalized on the turnovers that the Ravens committed, right? And with Mr. Do-It-All and also an MVP candidate at one time throughout the season, who probably still is a candidate, Mr. Lamar Jackson, when I saw that first interception go up where he just backpedaling and just launches it up, I knew at that time, okay, it's an interception. But my thing is, You can get away with that with the Browns. But why did you think that you could get away with that with the Steelers? Knowing that you again, ball, come on, Lamar. You played against the Steelers long enough. You should know that type of defense on that side of the ball. You should know that you can't get away with that. So for me, watching Lamar and the Ravens, it's very, very, very elementary. Run left, run right, throw the ball to the tight ends, throw the ball to Hollywood Brown, and there's nothing sexy about it. Do you think that again it can last the way that they run their offense and also a minimum of maybe 2 turnovers per game? Do you think this can last, or they are and can they continue to go to the well with this type of offense?
To be honest, I think the situation is kind of grim right now in Baltimore, only because it appears that teams have adjusted and found them out. Kind of similar to how we were saying teams found out the Chiefs earlier in the season and they had made adjustments, and it was up to the Chiefs to make the adjustments to, kind of right the ship. Baltimore's in the same situation. I'm happy you brought up the last 4 games. The last 4 games, they have not scored more than 20 points. The last 4 games are their 4 lowest total yards gained games throughout the entire season. It appears that the defense is after Miami. Miami set the blueprint of bringing the pressure, and they're not going to be able to do what they've been doing all season. And since that game, although they have won 2 of the 4 games,
Mm-hmm.
remember the 2 games they won were against a terrible Cleveland team in
Chicago, yeah,
Chicago.
Chicago and
Who,
Cleveland.
I mean, Matt Nagy needs to go. I mean, they have struggled. They have struggled. Yeah, they won those games, but they struggled. 16-13 was the Chicago score. 16-10 was the Cleveland score. So it's not like they lit the world on fire. I mean, I really think that defenses have kind of figured it out. Miami set that blueprint for the rest of them. And against these better teams, we're seeing that it just doesn't look like they are the same team that we thought they were earlier in the season. Can this continue where they're turning the ball over and still squeaking out wins? I think yes, it can, only because you have that X factor of Lamar Jackson, and not to mention just the honorable mention out there, Justin Tucker, who historically
Uh,
has is one of the best kickers in the
respect,
league.
respect.
So when you got a leg like that and you got an X factor like Lamar Jackson, I mean, technically, yeah, you're gonna be able to find a way to maybe stay in these games and hit a late game winning field goal. But the problem is you don't want to rely on that come playoff time, because come playoff time, trying to rely on, making up for 2, 3, 4 turnovers, that is a recipe for disaster.
Disaster. Yep, I
So
was
they
just
need
about
to
to say
clean
it.
that up now instead of trying to think about, like, are we going to be able to continue the magic that we've somehow captured throughout the season.
Because it ain't college football.
No, it's not.
It ain't college football.
It's
So,
not. You're right.
but before I get to the comments, though, I just want to read out the Ravens schedule to finish off the rest of the season. And the question I have after I read off the schedule, I'll ask you and I'll ask everybody that's tuning in, and I want y'all to comment as well. Will the Ravens miss the playoffs? Because the final games that they have is against the Ravens. I'm sorry, against the Browns at home. The Browns play at home. The Packers, the Bengals, the Rams, and the Steelers to finish off the season. I'm not saying they're going 0-5 at all, but that's a pretty tough stretch. And right now you're 8-4, and that AFC at the moment is very, very is up there. You have
That's why the
11, I
2 point
think
call
11
was
teams that are above 500 at the moment.
that's why the 2 point conversion call was reckless for me, because you make that call if you had games to spare. I understand making that call, right? But you make a call like that when, technically speaking, you are barely 1 game ahead in your division, let alone worrying about the conference. Because you drop 1 game, you may be out of the playoffs. Like you got to really look at it from the bigger picture. You
To
make this call and look at what you put yourself in, because you're right. Think about it. They played Cleveland, who Cleveland's kind of out of it, but they're still pretty.
They're
They're still
still
in
they're
it.
still in
They're
it. They're
still
still
in it,
in
but they're kind
it.
of out of it because the way
Yeah,
they've been
yeah,
playing, I don't think people think that they're
nobody
really
takes them
going to
serious at
contend,
all. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
I got
But you play Cleveland, you play Cincinnati, who's right behind you. You
you.
drop that
Yep,
game, you lose the division right there, right?
yep,
You
yep.
then you got to play Pittsburgh again, which you drop that game. Shoot, you maybe drop to third in the division, and third is probably not getting you in the playoffs. So,
Hmm.
are they making the playoffs at this moment? I gotta say, the way Lamar Jackson has been playing these past couple games, I don't think so. I
And
don't think so.
and I respect it. I'm not mad at it at all. I think a lot of things hinders this Ravens team right now. Let's just be real. They have a lot of injuries, but I've stated since week one. I've stayed in week 18. Nobody cares about nobody else's team to have injuries except for the team that you like because it is what it is, and everybody has played through injuries. But I'm not mad at the 2 point conversion call. You're on the road. You weren't playing well. You know, look, Ish, you know you can't score points like that anyways. But I will say you do have one of the best field kickers in NFL history to at least maybe get you a guaranteed 3 points if you were able to get it within 40 yards. But maybe Harbaugh just felt like, let me go ahead and try to escape out of here with a win, do them again later on in the season. And if we lose, we can split. It is what it is. Let's move forward. But let's get to the comments right quick. We got Lee with a comment. He says, "With another awful Lamar game, is that 2 point call because of lack of trust in Lamar to get the win in OT, or because it's a divisional game and lack of respect for the Steelers?" That's a good question. Is you want to answer
I
that
think
quick
it's
before I move on?
I think it was to me. I think it was a lack of trust in Lamar at the time.
Mm.
It wasn't one of his best games. He's kind of struggled the past couple of games, like we've already mentioned. Teams, I mean, they were having a hard time with TJ Watt. Even the play that they called on the 2 point conversion, they were trying to, set a decoy to distract TJ Watt in hopes of making the play. And TJ Watt, lo and behold, is the one that makes the play. He puts the pressure on them to keep them out. So
Yep, yep.
I think at the time, yeah, that call is definitely because you don't trust your offense going into overtime to be able to win it for you. I don't think they thought they could, so they needed that 2 point, and it was close. While it was very, very close, um, the, the thing that they were scared of, I think, came back to bite them, and that's why they lost. T.J. Watt, who was giving them a hard time all night, he made the play, came upfield, and there you go, you lose it. So
And I might be the crazy one, but I will say I don't think it was a lack of trust in Lamar. I think, again, call me crazy. I think it's the trust that Harbaugh has in Lamar when it comes to, hey, I'll give you the ball, go out there and go win it for us.
yeah,
And
that's one
and
way to
that's
look at it.
that's how I saw it. I don't think it was anything lack of trust in Lamar because let's remind everybody, Lamar is still an MVP quarterback. He won the MVP with. It's not like Carson Wentz where he should have won the MVP that season. Like let's remind everybody, this is a guy that actually is pretty damn good, and it has been good for a while. But there are still some shortcomings of Lamar Jackson, and we are here to be real about the shortcomings because at the end of the day, nobody gives a damn about how good you play in the regular season unless you can win some playoff games and win the Super Bowl. That's just what it is. People can be mad at you all you are mad at me or mad at anybody about how people talk about quarterbacks or individual players, but at the end of the day, it don't mean a thing unless it got that ring, right, baby? So to move forward with these comments that we have, it's gonna be interesting. We have to wait and see with a lot of these teams what happens every week for the next 3 more weeks because things are going to change in AFC. So it'll be interesting. Fracture Walnut says, "Is this Harbaugh's last season?" I have to say hell to the no on that one. No
I don't think
disrespect,
so.
Julius,
Yeah.
but Harbaugh has earned the right to leave on his own terms. I don't think he's getting fired or walking away anytime soon. He also says two and three at best. In his opinion, he's talking about the five
I
game
can see. I
stretch.
can see 2 and 3.
I can definitely see 2 and 3 as well. Dominique Paul also says, "Yeah, they'll make it. Just LJ has to be more consistent for them to
Yeah,
go
if he's more
deep."
consistent, definitely.
And he also asks us as well, "Y'all think it's because he doesn't have a number one, Well, that's why they went out and got Sammy Watkins.
Well, Sammy
And
Watkins not a number one.
I
We
mean, I
commented on
understand
that
that.
when they
I
made
got that, but
right.
also that's why you drafted Bateman as well. But guess what? Look, you can make those faces all you want to, but if you make those faces, you have to have a problem with the general manager that brought those players in. Because you could have got a different wide receiver in the draft. You didn't have to go get a wide receiver from Minnesota that nobody knows of. Unless you actually watch college football. That's my point is I understand what Lamar has and doesn't have. I know I watch him a lot more than people think that I do, but you can't keep giving these excuses to Lamar
You
when
can. You
when
can.
Lamar has enough power as a quarterback for that franchise to let Harbaugh know, hey, I need a different receiver.
Well,
Coach
I
Harbaugh,
think
I need you to let Ozzie Newsome know that I need a
yeah.
different damn receiver because that's the only way that I'm going to be better as a quarterback. But if the Ravens do not provide him with that, we're going to keep on asking every year about Lamar Jackson. Well, what if this was Lamar? Well, what if that was Lamar? We know he can run the ball for 1,000 yards every season. We know that already. But can he be consistent in the pocket? Can he be consistent as a quarterback to win you a championship? That is what is going to have to be answered in the next 3 to 5 years for Lamar Jackson.
So I mean, I think the problem really is, I think they've let it be. It's not a secret. Everybody knows that they needed help at the wide receiver spot, and that's why they went out. They got Sammy Watkins. They drafted Bateman. Right. The problem is neither one of those guys is a true number one receiver, and I think that does place. It does kind of harm him at times in his consistency because the problem you have with Hollywood Brown. Hollywood is not necessarily a number one.
Hollywood
either,
is a
right?
Walmart version of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he's like a slot player that they try to make a number
Yes.
one. Doesn't really help out. You again, Sammy Watkins never been that number one guy.
I just want to say a quick note to this one right here. No, hell to the
Yeah,
no,
not
no,
OBJ.
no,
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 no.
no,
I got you what you're saying,
not
Dominique.
OBJ.
But again, yeah, everybody gotta stop thinking that OBJ
He wasn't gonna. He wasn't
he
gonna
wasn't gonna
make
be
the
a number
difference.
one.
He
He
wasn't
wasn't
gonna
gonna be a
make the
number
difference.
one.
He
So let's
wasn't gonna make the
continue
difference.
it.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it does lead to some of the inconsistency, the fact that they don't have that true number one guy, and some of these other guys they kind of go missing at times, right? Like Hollywood Brown, he kind of went missing this game. I didn't really see him. This is the kind of game where you got to make that play if you're gonna be the guy, and they don't have anybody at the receiver spot that makes those plays consistently enough for Lamar to really trust them and go to them. The only person they have is Andrews, and really, come
Yeah,
on
and that's a
now.
problem. That's what I tell people all the time when it comes to Lamar and the offense that they have. If your main guy is a tight end, the same way with the damn Las Vegas Raiders, if Darren Waller is your main guy, that's a problem.
That's the problem. It's a problem.
I like Darren Waller, but Darren Waller should not be Darren Waller shouldn't get 20 damn targets every goddamn game.
Well,
I mean, am I tripping? Like when I say these things, like I know it might sound mean. Everybody loves the evolution of the tight end, Travis Kelce, Kittle, Waller, everybody else around the damn league. But when it comes to number one wide receivers, you cannot duplicate that. When it comes to tight ends, like I understand, look, the tight end position has evolved tremendously. But would you rather have a guy like a DeAndre Hopkins that that's he gonna get his, Mike Evans, I mean I can go on and on. Like those are true number one wide receivers compared to a tight end that has to do so much, and sooner or later, let's just be real. With a tight end having to do so much, let's just say they hit knees, and I'm just using your Chiefs for a second. Kelsey goes down and he's out for 2 or 3 drives. That's a problem. Just drives, not games.
God forbid.
But he's out for a couple of drives to where, it's a play in the game where you really need him and he's not there. I just don't want that type of pressure to be put on a quarterback like a Lamar to where you shouldn't have to depend on Mark Andrews to be your everything on every play. That's a problem.
I think Lee's comment is though
I'm about to bring it up.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really got me.
He just says defense been a disaster this year, and They lost one of the best corners in the game. It's going to be uphill slope. But it's also remind everybody as well too. They lost Matthew Judon to the damn New England Patriots as well too. You know, they've
Yeah.
lost defensive players
I
not
mean, yeah,
just this
the
season, but
defense has
also
been a shadow of itself.
in the off season as well too.
The defense has been a shadow of itself, and they do have that vaunted injury bug that
They have.
all
I
the
mean,
teams
it's
have.
bad. It's bad for Baltimore.
Yeah,
I do feel bad for them, but I will say at the end of the day, it also shows how well of coaching of a job that John Harbaugh has done too, with all the injuries that he's had. You
yep.
know, this isn't just on Lamar. Like, you know, John Harbaugh is a pretty damn good coach as well too. That's why I just can't see him. You know, I understand why you brought it up, the question fracture walnut, but I just can't see. If anything, Harbaugh might need a damn $200,000 raise after this season's over with. He might need a trip to Cabo just to calm his damn nerves after this damn season, because I know I would. He also at fracture walnut also asks, or I should say, look at Ertz in Philly. It didn't work out as the number one target. I mean, yeah, I got you on that part. Ertz is past his prime, so yeah, that's another topic for another day. All right, let's go ahead and finish up with a couple more of these games, and we'll get to, of course, Pick'em's fantasy football and a couple of our segments like see what happened was, because I definitely have a good one for today. Let's get right into a game that was not sexy at all, but it definitely played a big part in the NFC playoff seeding. The Washington football team and the Las Vegas Raiders. That game definitely was not sexy at all, because it ended up being 15-17 as a final score. I know. I would hope again, if you was in Vegas, you definitely took the under on that game. Ish. Surprisingly, the Washington football team can still win the NFC East, but I'm not even worried about the Washington football team right now, to be honest with you. Besides them being 6-6, the Las Vegas Raiders, are they probably one of the most disappointing teams of this season so far? Ish.
I mean, I don't know if you can give them that title, only because one, I don't know that anybody was really
I mean, Derek
expecting them
Carr.
to do
Derek
much.
Carr was an MVP candidate at one point in time throughout
I
the
mean, that was
season.
early in the season,
I
but
mean, you had
before the
this was
season,
Evil Chucky's year to
well,
redeem
Evil
the
Chucky is no
Raiders.
longer there,
I'm just
so
saying the storylines before the season and during the season was very Raider Nation. We're going to show everybody what Raider Nation is about. We don't give a damn if you like it or not,
okay.
and it's
Well,
not turning into that right now.
no, I think that they've had a lot of things that they've had to go through. They had the John Gruden situation, they had the Henry Ruggs
Rugs.
situation. I mean, then they had the corner situation. Although he wasn't like a big time player for them, at the
He
same
was
time, it's
a
more
stupid player.
distractions.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that's been hindering them. That I would say that these are distractions that, yeah, they do kind of cost you at times. So I don't think that they're the most disappointing team. However, should they be disappointed with this performance? Yeah, they should be disappointed with this performance. I mean, the way they started the season off, I think for them, they thought that they were going to do a lot better. And especially with the way the Chiefs started, it looked like, man, the AFC West for once was up for grabs. And then, the Chargers actually dropped a couple games as well when they were in the lead. So it just seemed like, hey, if there was any year for the Raiders to step up and take charge, this was the year, right? The rest of the teams in the division were kind of giving them a shot, and they have just continually dropped the ball every time they got that shot. Playing against the Washington football team, you expected them to play better. And it was just it was just sad. And I mean, it hurts because especially for them at home, they don't have a home field advantage. We talked about this before. I think earlier we talked about there are certain teams that don't actually have home field advantage, and it changes the way that they play at home. Whereas a lot of teams you think are stronger at home. For the Raiders, I don't think that's the case because everybody wants to go to Vegas and watch the game, and it just appears that more people from the other team come to the game than Raider fans come to the game. So I don't know what to do with them. It's another situation once again of you just never know what you're gonna get from the Raiders. It's a week by week thing. One week
like a
they're
box of
Super Bowl
chocolates.
contenders, and the next week they are, a joke. So
So what you're saying is we need to call them a box of chocolates.
yeah, they a box of chocolates.
Alrighty, then let's get to this comment because apparently you and Lee was on the same mind frame of home games. He asks, have y'all seen how every home game there is barely any Raiders fans? Is always like an away game, or how big of a factor is the move to Vegas? Oakland would be rocking, and well, here's the thing. I don't know if Lee saw that Photoshop picture on social media where it looked like it was a lot of Washington football team fans that were there, but it wasn't. But yes, there were a nice number of Washington football team fans that were there. But let's remind everybody as well too. Washington football team as an organization and their fans, they run deep. They travel. They love their team. It might not seem like it, but they actually do love their team. But yes, I do agree, Lee. Yes, for not just, let's remind people though, not just the Raiders. You look at Chargers games and the other LA team, Rams games as well too. Anytime the Cowboys play over there or anybody else, you have a half and half stadium maybe from time to time, or 60-40.
Especially the Chargers, because no one in LA wanted the Chargers.
But that's that's my point. So what I'm getting at with all three of these teams, for you to get home fans back, you have to win. And I'm not saying win a Super Bowl this year, but I'm just saying the Raider Nation is going to be Raider Nation fans. They're going to be there. I'm not worried about them, right? It's the Chargers the Chargers have to build up a fan base back up again, because they were always looked at as a San Diego team, not an LA team. And for the Rams, they have to have all. They're the ones that feel like they're playing in Vegas when it comes to casino, when it comes to slots, trying to go all in and get their return on investment. The only way that they will get some type of fan base is if they actually win a Super Bowl. But I do agree on where Lee is coming from. Yes, it is a little embarrassing when you are playing a game, especially when you're in Vegas. Just moved over there and you have a lot of away fans. That is a problem. I definitely understand that. I do agree with what Lee is saying. When you are in Oakland, it's a completely different game.
Way different atmosphere
and all that stuff. And I 100% agree. But let's be real, everybody that's tuning in. We don't control shit. We are not owners. We do not own any of these teams. So if an owner say, hey, I don't want to be in Oakland no more because of pretty much this, they're going to do whatever they want to do because they own the team. Now, if they see that their profit is going down because of people ain't come to the games, it's not what it used to be, blah, blah, and they say, hey, we move back to Oakland, we be able to get a little bit more.
I don't think it happens down in Vegas. I think the problem that you have is Vegas being a destination city.
Yeah. Right? No. And I'm not saying that. I'm just stating the fact that as an owner, you have, of course, the right to do whatever you want to do with the team.
Do whatever they want. And we saw what happened with St. Louis, right? With the
exactly.
Rams.
And they're still going through a battle right now with the Rams and trying to get that $1 billion settlement. Yeah, so it's unfortunate. It is what it is, but winning cures everything. From college football, where you have coaches moving left and right from the West Coast to the East Coast, and everybody's talking about how messed up it is and this, that, and the third. If you're a football coach and you win, all that stuff goes away. All right, Dominique Powell also says, I wonder why it's like that, though, because Oakland ain't that far from Vegas. And it's really not, but instead of making a 30 to 45-minute trip to go watch a game, you got to make a 4-hour trip. That is a big difference. Mm-hmm. Just imagine you here in Houston, instead of watching the Texans play in Houston, you got to go to Dallas. Not too many people going to want to make that trip every weekend, especially if you're not winning.
And it's a lot easier for people from the visiting team to make that trip when, hey, let's go to Vegas.
Exactly. It gives you an excuse to go to Vegas, right? All right, let's get on to the next game right quick. Very, very short and sweet, but let's give a little love. Let's get a little love. Gotta give credit where credit is due, as much as I didn't want to.
Can I get like half credit?
You can start first, sir.
I'm gonna make the case real quick. I want to get half credit for this game. Why do I want half credit for this game? Because I said it. I tried to give the warning. I said
try to, but you didn't pick them though.
Set up. I didn't, because common sense led me not to pick them. And then
I understand.
But I did try. I told
Common
you. I
sense
said,
also wasn't being played on that goddamn last play for the
"Oh
for
my
the for the
gosh."
Vikings, where you 13, 15 yards off the damn ball. I don't know what the hell's going on that side of the
Right,
ball,
but I
but
told you, I said, they're liable. I mainly was saying Kirk Cousins was liable for a bad game.
what did Kirk
This the
Cousins
kind of
do?
game
What did Kirk Cousins do?
he
No
came
bad
out.
game from him. He
He
did what he needed to
performed,
do. Okay, thank you.
but they
Don't
still
disrespect Kirk
lost.
Cousins.
He
You right.
performed, but they
You
still lost.
right.
So
You
it don't
right. That's
matter.
that's
But
the that's Kirk Cousins season all season long right there. Perform well and still lose.
yeah, I mean, this Vikings team, I just don't know what to do
I
with
agree.
them.
I agree. I don't.
Congratulations to the Lions. Woohoo! Don't win too many games. You don't want to give the
You
Texans the
ain't
number
lying
one
on that.
pick.
Yeah, please don't get the Texans number one pick. They'll find a way to screw that up too.
But yeah, I mean, I just want my half credit for this game because I did
You ain't
everything
getting it.
short of pick them.
You ain't getting it. I'll let you know right
Oh
now.
well.
All right, let's finish it off with the Sunday slate of games with the Sunday night football game between the Broncos and Chiefs. And it seemed like they did not need to flex this game. Maybe we should have been able to watch the 49ers and Seahawks because that was actually a better game than this game. But I did get to I'm just being true. I did get what I said projection wise when it comes to the Broncos defense, secondary wise, stepping up. They did get them a pick from your boy, Mr. PS2. But other than that, defense, I mean, it played 22 points, giving up only 22 points against a high powered Chiefs offense. It is what it is, but you got to give love and respect to that Chiefs defense for holding the Broncos to only 9 points. And not just that, your boy Daniel Sorensen stepping up out here doing his little
Except
celebration.
that
I don't know what the
celebration
hell
was
that's. I was going to
horrible.
make sure I ain't the only one. That was some ugly. I don't know what the hell that was. But I was like, please, I was waiting for the flag. I don't know about you, but I was waiting for the flag. I like, please throw a flag on that ugly ass shit. I don't know what that was, but
so
I will say this as well because I don't know if anybody caught this on my social media when I posted this. But after that interception from Daniel Sorensen, did you see what Teddy Bridgewater did?
He tackled.
He tried to. He tried to.
No, he actually tackled someone. He did tackle.
He didn't tackle shit. He hit him and fell off of Dan Sorensen. You can go rerun the play all you want to.
Oh yeah. That's the one.
Yes.
Fell off of.
My point is that if Teddy tried for a tackle or if he didn't try, obviously the outcome is still the same. So Teddy, stop trying to tackle folks and run your ass to the sideline every time you throw an interception because we don't need you as a quarterback out here getting concussions. That's all I have to say on that.
He got lit up when he didn't. He got lit up when he didn't try to make the tackle. So I see why he did that. But I do want to say something real quick. I want to give a special shout out to my boy Theodore, right? Because the stats don't necessarily look great, but if you watch the game, bruh, he had some throws that I actually was sitting there thinking like, yo, Theodore is actually taking these shots and he's dropping some dimes that these receivers, they're not the easiest balls to catch, but they were there. They were hitting people in the hands and they weren't catching it. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, maybe I'm being too hard on Theodore. Maybe Theodore's trying his best and we just not giving Theodore the credit that he deserves. Because
no, you ain't giving Theodore. Okay. Get it right. Word that correctly, sir.
I'm not giving.
Making sure you're correct. All right.
He deserves
disrespecting Theodore like that.
I think Theodore might be playing a lot better than people are giving him credit for. And
Ishmael's giving him credit for.
The records doesn't look that great, but I think maybe Theodore, if not with Denver, another team may need to look at Theodore and actually think about, giving him a shot.
I got a question for you. How many more teams? I mean, because Theodore running out of teams to play on. He's been around the league. I mean, he's not getting any younger. So, I understand where you're coming from. Remember, at one point in time, he was supposed to be the Minnesota Vikings franchise quarterback at one point in time.
He got hurt.
I know. My point is he was at one point in time a franchise quarterback type of quarterback, and of course, due to injuries, it seems like he can still be a starter. Maybe if he lands in the right situation, we just have to wait and see what happens with that situation. Either with Denver, and I knew you're gonna say that.
He can come to Houston.
I said I want him to have a successful career. Not what is wrong with you? Stop. Why you? People come to Houston for their career to die and finish. This is the
Well,
black hole. This is the
exactly.
new Oakland.
His career is going to die in
Oh
Houston,
Lord.
but he can come
Anyways,
here.
Lee says, Ish, I don't know if you've been noticing, but how do you feel about the phasing out of Miko Hardman? 12 snaps last game, only 7 snaps this game. 7 snaps? Thoughts?
Good riddance. Good riddance.
Ooh, that's how y'all feel?
I know a lot of
That's how y'all
people really
feel?
like. I know a lot of people really like Miko Hardman, and they think that he provides something. I think Pringle and Robinson are way better options than Miko Hardman. He's made too many mistakes for me to really just. I think it's good riddance. He should have been phased out a long time ago. He's not it. He was supposed to. I think when they drafted him, that was when Tyreek Hill had the situation going on where people thought he might get suspended, and so they were looking at how can we bring another speedster in that maybe can fill that hole, offer us some of that. And he just hasn't done it for me. He hasn't done it. He's been inconsistent. He drops a lot of balls. Sometimes he runs the wrong routes. I mean, it's just like it's up and down, all over the place, all around. I think Pringle, Robinson, so much better, more consistent, and hopefully soon. I'm hoping with this phasing out, we will actually see Josh Gordon appear in a game. Like I know he plays in games and he gets snaps in games, but I have yet to see this man do anything in a game. So I'm hoping that while they're phasing this man out, Josh Gordon is actually able to do something, provide something, please, because we desperately need a number two. I mean, honestly, I was giving OBJ a hard time when it was brought up about the Ravens, but I wouldn't have minded him going to the Chiefs only because the Chiefs desperately need something else just there beside Tyreek and Travis Kelsey. And I feel like while Robinson and Pringle offer solid options, they're not like we need a standout option. And I've seen a lot of mock drafts that already have the Chiefs drafting a wide receiver in the first round. So apparently I'm not the only one that thinks that, but
How many more weapons do y'all Chiefs need? That's the thing I don't understand. I just don't. Why y'all need all these weapons? Give the Titans one. We got a hurt wide receiver that been hurt
bro,
all goddamn season.
Y'all got two of the best
We got a wide receiver that been hurt all damn season long that made 2 catches. Talking about Julio Jones, no touchdowns, and AJ Brown.
wide receiver.
Huh?
He's a Hall of Fame wide receiver, bro.
I hate you so much right now. And AJ Brown, who I love dearly, who just has not been what he's supposed to be this year just due to injuries. And then everybody else behind them are just no-namers to where I need to be on the roster. I need to be on the roster. Stop playing with me right now.
Henry,
bro. You playing with me right now. All right, we moving on to the next topic because you about to make me go through the screen on your ass because we're not doing this. All right. Let's move on. All right, let's go ahead and end it. Stop. Let's go ahead and end it with this topic that we have for tonight before we get into the AFC and NFC playoff standings, and then also, of course, our pick'ems and also our fantasy football standings at the moment. And of course, one of our fan favorites. See, what had happened was usually, of course, we bring up a game where we thought it would go one way, and it, of course, ended up going another way. And for this week, I felt like instead of talking about a game, I felt like I needed to talk about some coaches, Ish. Okay, because let me explain. Let me explain right quick. Because sometimes you want to be that rebel in life and go against the grain and go against the records that you obviously see, and you know that you should go with what works, right? But you want to be that young, hard-headed 8-year-old that feels like, I got this. I'm gonna go ahead and go against the grain, right? And the 2 games that I picked for this Sunday was Broncos over Chiefs and Bills over the Patriots, correct? The Chiefs head coach is Andy Reid, and the New England Patriots head coach is named Bill Belichick. Andy Reid, and before I say what I say, the record that I'm bringing up is 19-3.
After a bye. Yep.
The record that I'm bringing up is 19-3.
19
And that's because let me explain. Because 19-3 right now is what Andy Reid record is after a bye. And it also 19-3 is what Bill Belichick record is on the road against the Buffalo Bills in his career.
Something should have told you.
So I am not the smartest guy in the world, but I am somebody that do like to go with trends, and usually I do go with the trends, especially in professional football. I did not do that, and I got bit in the butt on both games, and that's one of those things where that's why Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame coach. That's why Bill Belichick is a Hall of Fame coach, because the history and the resume for both of those guys speak for themselves. So this week, for me, see what happened was I didn't do my homework on those two guys. So Ish, what do you have for today?
So this time, I'm not even going to go with the game that I picked incorrectly. I'm going to go with I'm going to try to explain the situation out, right?
I'm listening.
I'm doing this for someone else. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it on behalf of someone else. See, what had happened was the Texans thought they were hiring a coaching staff that was going to come in there and coach NFL players.
Oh, Lord.
When in reality, what they did was hire a bunch of people to come out there and put people in timeout. Because yet again, the Texans are over here suspending people, punishing people, and losing games without scoring points. See, what had happened was the Texans were as bad as everyone thought that they were going to be. All you Texan fans that thought, "Oh man, we won that first game. We gonna win 4 or 5 games." Oh man, Deshaun Watson, who
Deshaun? Oh, I remember that. I remember that too. That was hilarious after week 1.
Watson.
We don't need Deshaun Watson.
Oh man. Yeah, this is sad. They're the first team in a really long time to be shut out in 2 games in the season and losing by more than 30 points. Oh, I mean,
hold on. You forgot the cherry on top though, Ish.
Mm-hmm.
They are the first team in the NFL this season to be eliminated from playoff contention.
Oh, correct.
You forgot about that too.
Oh, I forgot.
It adds even more to it, right?
Oh, it adds even more to it.
I love them Houston teams.
Ah, man. You know what? Honestly, it is about that time to start talking about whether or not David Culley is out after just 1 season in Houston. And
I'll the placeholder anyway, so.
Well, yeah. He's always just supposed to be a figurehead. And also, is there enough pressure that Easterby is going to have to go?
No.
Of course not. I mean,
no. You're so cute to think about it though.
Hey, I just got to throw it out there because at this point, I mean, how can it get any worse for the Texans?
I mean, when we see these home games here in Houston, do you not see how packed these games are with fans? Y'all don't see that they're wearing empty chairs to go to the game. Y'all don't see that? That's why they're invisible, because they're wearing.
I mean, weren't we talking about tickets going for $6 or something?
We did talk about that in the pregame show. You could have went to a Houston Texans game and a Houston Rockets game for $12 if you wanted to over the weekend. But
$12.
Hey, you missed out. Hey, if you missed out this week, you probably can get the same deal next Sunday.
Man, just be on the lookout, everyone.
Go to your local HEB. If you could, you probably go to your local Astroworld too. They probably give you a Coke can for a ticket nowadays too. On that,
yeah, they probably start giving away these tickets.
Shit, instead of giving out tickets from HPD, they're gonna give out tickets. They're gonna make you show up to court, and court gonna be at NRG Stadium. All right, let's move on. I'm sorry, guys. Let's finish off tonight. Let's stop bashing on the Texans. They already have it hard as it is. Imagine losing every game this season like the Lions and the Texans and still getting paid millions of dollars. You gotta love it, right? You gotta love it.
It don't matter.
All right, but before we do go into the playoffs, I do want to bring up this Fracture Walnut said Minshew Mania. Apparently, let's calm that down. One more week. Let's see what happens with.
I told you it's the beginning of the end for Jalen Hurts. I already told you that.
Anyways.
All right.
Well, let's give it one more week. We'll see what happens. All right, in the AFC at the moment, we have the Patriots are number 1, of course, with their win. Bye week, Titans land at number 2. The Ravens are 3. The Chiefs are at 4. The Chargers are 5. Bengals at 6. Bills are at 7. In the NFC, the Cardinals are at 1. The Packers are at 2. The Buccaneers are 3. Cowboys at 4. Rams at 5. And the Washington football team, the 49ers switch spots. Washington football team is 6, and the 49ers at 7 at the moment. Also, when it comes to our pick'ems, did a little bit of a better job this week compared to last week. X, who is I am up at the moment 120, 73 and 1. To Ish is 115, 78 and 1. And fantasy football on the NFC side, you have Smokey Joe at number 1, Kiss the Baby at number 2, Club Shay Shay at number 3, Bishop Sycamore at number 4, Brady's Mavericks at number 5, and Bay Area Bully at number 6. On the AFC side, Colonel Flanders Chicken, number 1, number 2, Just Another Title Run, number 3, CD's Nuts, number 4, Thanos is Right, number 5, B Rocka, number 6, Dat Man Dooley. All righty then, that will wrap up week 13 yet again with another great show here on X Talking Ish. And hey, we talked about this a little bit last week and the week before. We got some things coming up ish pretty next month. I mean, it's gonna come literally a month from now. We'll be dropping more gems throughout the month of what's going to happen. But the one gem I will say is we won't be in Houston for this. We'll be in Fort Worth, Texas. So I'll let y'all know right quick when it comes to we'll be having another traveling show with X Talking Ish in Fort Worth next month. January, depending on the days, which should be January 7th and 8th. It might be a little longer. We'll just see depending on time, but we do know we'll be there January 7th and 8th. And we're excited. We know what's going on. We just have to keep it secret from y'all, so y'all can stay tuned in to X Talking Ish so we can provide y'all with some content. Y'all know how this goes. So, with that being said, of course, we'll keep y'all updated. We'll see y'all next week. Hopefully, y'all's teams can play better and come, and maybe like my team come off a bye week and play well and continue to go on this surge in the second half of this NFL season. And we got 5 games left, everyone. 5 games left, and we're on to the playoffs. And woo, NFL season. It goes by fast, but it goes by slow. I tell you this every season. And with that being said, we will see y'all on Sunday for our pregame show on X Talking Ish. See y'all.